What is the worst parenting trend to date? Parents who fill up their kids' schedules so they have zero downtime. School from 6-4. After school study plus extra school tutoring from 4-5. Piano lessons from 5-5. 45. Softball from 6-8 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Cheerleading on Mondays and Wednesdays. Gymnastics Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Piano practice from 8-8. 45. Homework from 8. 45-9. 30. Bed. Rinse and repeat. Oh, if you get less than an A, you're grounded. Knew a girl whose schedule was like that. Complete wreck. Parents never telling their children no and refusing to set any boundaries. I get empowering children by giving them a voice and decision making and the freedom to speak their minds. But general social norms would be nice. Listening to 8-year-olds throw fits in public and being rude to family and strangers at top volume is not endearing in any way. Shielding children from the natural consequences of their actions. They don't learn from their mistakes and the consequence price tags are so much higher when they become adults. Taking youth sports too seriously. I helped with and attended games for years. And can count on one hand the number of times I saw a child lose their temper. Parents lost it all the time. More than once I've seen a parent have to be physically restrained. Not teaching basic manners and giving them a ridiculous sense of entitlement. My favorite is, but Jimmy doesn't know any better. No shti. That's why you have to teach how to behave. Indigo kids. Parents believing that their children have superpowers because they are acting like brats. Sure. Let's not only tell the bratty kids that they are better than everyone, but let's also put them with the other brats. Not letting them make mistakes. With many people, you can tell them not to do something because all you want, but they will never properly get it until they actually do it and happens. Forbidding your kids from doing anything even remotely risky does more harm than good later on. Yes, this. I used to get punished for any mistake. It didn't matter what it was. Flunk a test? Grounded. Bad grade? Grounded. Break something on accident? Grounded. Yes. Mistakes have real-world consequences, but not every mistake should be punished. That's the fastest way to turn your kid into a great liar. I lied all the freaking time as a kid because I was tired of getting punished for being a kid. I hate when parents get mad at me for telling off their kids. I work in hospitality and we have a bowl of mints at the bar with tongs to grab them out. One night these 3 kids, all under age 10 but old enough to know better, just started diving their hands into the bowl. I told them politely to use the tongs. Then I told them off when they ignored my request. The parents got mad at me instead of their kids, even though their kids just made me throw out a whole bowl of mints. If you're incapable of disciplining your child properly, don't get upset when someone else does it for you. Assuming your kid processes everything the same way you do, and correcting their behaviors that are preference based and not necessarily wrong. My aunt and uncle are and have been huge supporters of the if you just give them a video game then they'll be quiet forever, so my 6-year-old cousin has absolutely no social skills and is a difficult, struggling first grader but is alright at playing Angry Birds and Minecraft. Okay, so my cousin's daughter, make her my second cousin? Honestly not sure, is in the 5th grade. She goes to a school with a kid that has learned all his social skills from video games. I know this because he has been in trouble saying things you wouldn't expect to hear outside Xbox voice chat. He thinks it's actually socially acceptable to tell her to kill herself, because that's the kind of social interaction he's used to. Refusing to tell your kids no. Maybe not the worst, but my parents forced me to play competitive sports for years when I clearly hated it and I'm still a little bitter. I was horrible at soccer. They even offered me $10 for every goal I scored, but I still couldn't do it. As an adult I still shudder a little every time I drive by a baseball field. Thinking about how much time I wasted there and the embarrassment of sucking at something and getting laughed at by the other kids. This isn't to say I wasn't an athletic kid. I loved skating, riding bikes, hiking and all that. Parents, if your kid isn't good at a sport, doesn't have any interest in it and obviously has no talent for it, please don't make them do it. Taking your kids to the pub with you on a weekend. I'm not talking an afternoon lunch with a glass of wine or two. I'm talking about kids being left to run amok in car parks and on pavements while parents sit inside and have a drink. Look after your f***ing kids. What the FCK is elf on a shelf? HTS creepy. Pushing your kids to bring home flawless reports. Had a friend my sophomore year of high school, straight A student. Extracurricular stuff, with strict parents obviously living vicariously through her who blew her head off with her dad's shotgun sitting at the kitchen table because it was near finals week. Her grades were plummeting and the only boyfriend she's ever had just broken up with her 3 days prior. I'd like to introduce a new parenting trend. Talking to your kids. Listening and understanding. People having their kids stay up with them until the wee hours of the morning. By 11 PM they are cranky, fussy, and clearly tired. Put your kids to bed. Why would you want your kids up that late anyway? My boy is in bed at 7:30 every night and that's when I can do daddy things. Which as I type it sounds creepy. Read it. I read it when my kid goes to bed. That's all. The absolute f***ing venom if someone disagrees with your parenting choices. There's no such thing as a simple disagreement anymore. Helicopter parents. Man. I gotta say this is true. I mean, we love our kids. But I cannot believe how many parents are over involved in their kids' college lives. When someone asks me about my college kids, I give a general they're doing great. But I honestly don't have details about anything. That's because I leave them alone to figure out how to be the adults I spent 18 years raising them to be. When parents post on FB every single weekend they spend with their kids at their kids' college, I cringe. I hate it when parents let their 6-year-old walk their 3-foot-tall dog and they can't control it so it goes around licking people everywhere. Posting intimate pics of your kid all over social media. Now, I have no issue with parents sharing adorable baby pics. Hell, I don't mind you guys sharing a lot of them. When you go through hell and back to carry, birth, and raise the kid, you get to pass on the social media sharing. Somewhat. However, sharing pics of your kid in the bathtub and doing bodily functions is not okay. 1. It's gross. I don't think your kid's blowout diaper or first poopy in the toilet is funny or cute. I don't want that on my timeline. 2. Pedis are out there. Be careful. 3. I know it's hard to imagine, but little Payson is gonna be a big boy someday. In fact, he may even be on social media in the future. His friends and employers are gonna see those gross vomit and poop pics. Not a good idea. TL. DR. Keep your kids' vomit, piss, ht, etc. off of social media. During the Haram mess, a friend of mine told someone that his opinion was irrelevant because he didn't have kids. Haram has ascended so high into memhood that he actually thought what the hell do kids have to do with haram? Shielding their kid from failure. There are so many people now that are afraid of failing. So much so that they don't even attempt something new if they have a hint that they may fail at it. That hideous rat tail at the back of toddlers' heads. Gently asking kids to do shit they have zero capacity to do or even understand. Your kid won't move out in front of the store door. And it's not the next customer's fault that they fell down because they were in front of the door. Stop letting your kids run around restaurants like you're renting the f***ing place and teach them to sit and eat with their FCKing family. My aunt accused my mom of beating us to make us behave, like she did with her own kids. Common no. Cheryl. Mom just taught us to not be rotten shtheds in public. It was always worth it to behave because the waiters would compliment mom for having 4 kids that weren't setting the establishment on fire, and she'd just look so incredibly proud. Thinking about it now makes me happy. Unique names. I'm an adult in his early 20s, so a few of my peers have had kids already. And almost every single one has given their kid a name ending in Aiden if it's a boy, Brayden, Caden, Jaden, etc. Or Lily if it's a girl, Harley, Bailey, Kayleigh, etc. I don't necessarily think these are bad names, but I keep seeing them over and over again. Letting your child become obese. Making a kid finish their plate. Not having children wear seatbelts, and better yet, toddlers weren't in car seats. Constantly plastering your kids' pictures all over social media. Most are okay, if a bit much. But someday your kids are not going to appreciate the picture you took of them on the toilet during potty training with the caption "Little Aiden was constipated today." I think those parents who impose a raw vegan diet on their young kids, there is no way that a child can sustain itself on a raw vegan diet. You'd need to be constantly eating to get the necessary calories. Vegetables and fruit are very high in fiber, both soluble and non-soluble, so you can be very full from relatively few calories compared with even a high protein diet. Vegan can be a struggle if the parent doesn't do the research. And a raw diet can be done as an adult, but it would still be difficult. A raw vegan diet for a young child is basically child abuse. Indigo children. Just stop. Your child isn't a special star child. Those are tantrums. Nut up and be a parent. Not a carpet. Helicoptering. Stranger danger. Taught kids to fear strangers and the man hiding in the bushes, when in reality the danger to kids is usually from the people they know. Uncles, teachers, priests, etc. I just hate how parents bring their kids to public places and let them run amok as if the world owes them for bringing this crotch spawn into it. Forcing your own political beliefs on your children by dredging them to rallies etc. I think taking your child to political rallies is a great experience. Of course you want to explain and teach your political values to your children. The key is to explain the other side's prov as well and why you make the choices you do. But experiencing the process isn't harmful. You'll need to cut this anti-vaccination shit out like right now. Vaccines save lives. Not vaccinating your children. Also generally doing anything for them that they should do themselves. E.g. cleaning up for them, doing their homework, etc. My mom cleaned up after me when I was little, and while I cannot thank her enough for doing all that work, I can't help but look at the pile of clothes I leave lying on the floor anytime I shower or poop and think, wow, I really wish I felt a burning impetus to clean these up, but that is my subconscious saying it will be cleaned eventually, which hasn't been true in over a decade. Not teaching manners with other people's pets. You want to pat my dog, you f***ing ask. Then you introduce yourself to her, back of your hand to sniff. Then you may pat her. Do not harass her. My dog is a sweetheart, but she is an animal and she is at exactly the right height to bite your little darling's face off, and then it's my fault and my dog dies because you couldn't teach your brat some manners. Not saying a word about sexuality and shielding children from any sort of affection on TV or in real life. I can't stress enough how much this has contributed to my intense shame whenever I am disturbed and my inability to be intimate. Of course this is a compounded issue for me personally, but such a censored childhood was the backbone for all of this pain. Weird religious homeschooling. Feeding them sugar or junk food when they've done something good. Beating your kids. Not saying all forms of physical punishment are inherently terrible, but a lot of parents that practice it take it entirely too far. Buying expensive ass gadgets then pestering us kids because they can't understand how they work. My life is busy enough as it is and your billions of questions aren't helping. Beauty pageants. I have no problem with them, it's just at the age these parents make their kids enter and the shit they do to try to win, like doping them up on sugar and energy drinks. Using spray tans and makeup on kids that are sometimes 1-2 years old. And in the end they extort their child for little to no money to regain. I've seen parents neglect their other kids in favor of the pageant queen. And in the end you get a spoiled brat that throws a hissy fit and is disrespectful. But who cares? Not letting your kids walk to and back from school. Somehow free range is a trend. In Europe. At least France. It is the norm, as it should be. Then you don't understand why you get irresponsible obese kids in the US. Let them go outside. Let them exercise. Let them experience. To be fair, America is pretty big and schools can be miles off. Unless you feel like pushing your kid out the door at 4 in the morning and not having them back until 8 at night. You probably shouldn't let them walk to school. Not telling your kid their gender so they can decide for themselves. Ugh. I so hate this. Transgender people are. What? 0.05% of the population? Just let your kid be the gender they were born with. Don't enforce strict gender stereotypes on them. And if they come out as trans or non-binary or whatever, be understanding and respectful and nice about it. I'm taking away your video games, computer, laptop, phone until you bring your grades up or start caring about school. Any parents reading this? It does not work at all. They won't study to bring their grades up. They will study to get their things back. After they get their things back, they will go back to their normal routines. And it becomes a cycle. Putting kids in front of the television instead of spending time with them. Hardly a new trend though. That's been a major complaint at least as far back as the 80s. Mr. Rogers raised me way better than my parents could have. Tablets. Parents just give their kids an iPad to get them to stfu. To be fair, that's exactly what my parents did with my Game Boy. That's not necessarily new. It's horrible and totally different from kids watching a shitty load of TV or playing Nintendo for hours. Essential oils. A friend of mine has 5 kids and gives them all so many oil lozenges and diffuser and such that the smell is overwhelming when you're around them. Appropriately enough. Their favorite smell is thieves. Parents being scared of children. Your kid will be a F cup if you think you need to be their friend. When I was a boy I was showed tough love. But it gave me skills I needed. Sheltering them from music that they don't want them to listen to. Like for example, the parent only allows Radio Disney. What if the kid who is 8 doesn't like it? That's not fair to the kid to not be allowed to explore and get their own taste. Glad my mom never sheltered. Infant circumcision. Sorry, but unneeded cosmetic surgery performed on non-consenting minors is just stupid, useless, and illogical. Publicly shaming your kids. If you do that shit, you are an asshole and a disgusting human being. Raising your kids vegan. Raising your kids gender neutral and letting them pick for themselves. Anti-vaccinations. Why? I work in pediatrics. I've seen all of the above affect the child in a negative way. Yes, even the second. They get confused and don't know what to like and why people refer to them as them they. It also makes it mega awkward when I have to give them a coloring page and stickers and don't know what to pick. Note: parents deliberately raising kids as gender neutral is different from the kid deciding later on. Anti-vaccination kids always get sick faster. Vegan raised kids are usually underweight and malnourished and deficient in a number of vitamins.